Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to the 5th video in our 10 ink series. This is from the Jacques series. It's premium fountain pen ink collection. This is their standard full line. In the United States, it's exclusively sold at Goulet Pens, which is, they sent me samples of each one of these 10 videos, so thank you very much, because this is really becoming a very fun study. Today we're doing the orange, I call it Soleil, but I'm not sure that's how you say it. I guess I developed that pattern there. It's orange anyway, so let's dive right in. This is the Bond Travel Gear 68 GSM Tomoe River notebook. That's where I start all of our ink studies. So here we are in the broad nib, and like I said, you can get this if you're in the United States. You can get it at Goulet Pens, and there are a few other places in the world where you can order it from too. At Goulet Pens, it's a 2 ml sample is $2.25, and a 50 ml bottle is $28. So we see it here in the broad nib first, and it was taking about 40 seconds to dry. It just seems like a very nice warm orange, and it is very reminiscent of Sailor Apricot, so much so that we're going to do a side-to-side comparison when we get to the Rhodia, because that's going to give us our crispest, a nice crisp comparison. My goodness. Okay, so here we are. This is a Goulet 1.5 stub, and it warms up even more in that, and it's just delicious. You see more shading coming out of the stub, I think. And it was just a little bit faster to dry, 35 seconds. But I really like how shading started to emerge a little more. We see some up here too. It's a little more subtle, but then you get in the stub nib and you really see it. Okay, and then here we are in the Lamy fine nib down here. 30 seconds, it was almost dry, so I didn't hang around. I figured it'd be 32, maybe 35 in that one. So, first impressions, it was a wow and a yikes. There goes my pen allowance kind of thing. It reminds me of Sailor Apricot, but the shading is less, well, I put less disruptive. That's ridiculous. Okay, the shading is a little more subtle, and the brightness of this one is just a little bit brighter. And I think it may be that there's a little bit less yellow in it, but we'll look back and see. I'm making conclusions kind of quickly there. Yeah, it says pen allowance, run. Maybe more yellow in the Sailor Apricot. Okay, let's go ahead and first off, we'll look at the bath test, what that did. So we have another really typical one, like we had with our red the last time. By the way, the Rouge d'Orient got an A in the clean out, but it was another typical one where it just washed away. Whereas some of our other inks, the brown, the gray, and the black all gave us quite a bit of readability after 20 minutes marinating in the water. So we aren't seeing that with this orange. It's very, very typical fountain pen ink. So there we have it. I actually wanted to flip back, but it's going to be just a little bit hard, but not too hard. I want to find that Sailor Apricot so I can show you what here it is. Okay, of course the darn chromatographies are on opposite sides. Okay, so let's go ahead and compare the chromatography. This is Sailor Apricot on the left, and we see it did that same number of shooting right straight up. But then, you know, it gave kind of light pink, a light orange, and then, light orange, and then a lot of yellow. I mean, you could really see that. Now, you see yellow in this one too, but it's all a little bit weaker, and then it ends with a bright orange. Well, I see that. I see the brighter intensity, even if you compare, well, like I said, the best comparison is going to be coming up next, because we're going to do the Rhodia. And I feel like we can look at them side by side in that and really see better. So let's get on to that. Okay, here we are on Rhodia 80 GSM dot grid paper. Broad nib, a little bit more than 30 seconds to dry. I saw shading. I even saw it in the scribbles, and I saw it throughout. So it was very nice, very, you know, a little bit subtle, but then it picks up a little in the stub nib, I thought. Or maybe it's just that variation. You can see it better because you got the up and down strokes. You got a wider nib. It's very good for that. Okay, then in the fine nib, I can usually see shading best in my printed writing. And there is some subtle shading in my printing. 25 seconds to dry on that one. Lamy fine nib. I guess I skipped right over the stub. 30 seconds to dry. Quite a bit of variation. I mean, it's really pretty. But what I wanted to do now, it's a little unorthodox. I don't usually do it this way, but I want to compare it side by side with Sailor Gentle Apricot. So we're looking at the same exact paper, and we're looking at two different inks that are quite similar, but really now you can see, I think, what I was talking about. I really feel like we're dealing with a little bit brighter ink with the Jacques Orange Soleil. Okay. We'll just say orange because I just can't pronounce things even with Google help. So we got quite a bit of shading. In fact, shading that does occur in the apricot seems more drastic, more noticeable. Let me hold that up. So in case you didn't watch the other video, it's quite drastic. Whereas it's a lot more subtle over here, but you have it. You see it. It's just, you've got more orange here in the Jacques brand, and in the Sailor ink, I mean, they're both beautiful, but it amazed me how much they reminded me of each other, but how unique they are, really. Gee whiz, something else. Okay, hopefully that'll help you since we've been studying orange inks. We just did Fire on Fire, and before that we'd done the Sailor one, so I thought that might help. It's exciting. I enjoy this a lot. Okay, so now we're going to go on to CVS caliber paper. Okay, so in the broad nib, here it is in the broad nib. Believe it or not, I was seeing very subtle shading even on this paper. And I got real enthused about that because that's pretty amazing. This is that inexpensive paper. This will run you about $3 for this 5x7. It's a fat notebook. It's got maybe, I don't know how many pages. I want to say 100, but I'm not sure. Anyway, it's not going to set you back much, and it's very fountain pen friendly. 40 seconds to dry. And then here we are in the stub nib. I said shading nice. Yeah, I was noticing shading throughout in the stub nib, and I really like that. It's just such a warm ink. Almost dry at 40 seconds. Yeah, it was taking a while to dry. This behaves a lot like the Tomoe River paper does. And then down in the fine nib, it still held its own, and the ink and paper worked great together. And you know that doesn't always happen. So I was really excited about that. Okay, we have a clean paper on the back to look at. We have a slight bit of seepage where it was heavily put on. And we have the normal amount of ghosting, which kind of compares to a Tomoe River paper, really. It's a thin paper. It's thin, but it's very hardy. Okay, so there's that. And let's look back on the Rhodia. Should be able to see a clean side of that too. Wonder if I put enough pages in this. I hope so. Okay, there we have it. Tiny bit of seepage on the back, but that was put on real hard and just normal ghosting. Okay, oh, we got a clean side here too. All right. Okay, and we got white paper in the middle. So normal ghosting wouldn't bother me a bit because I'm going to come back in and do something over here anyway. Okay, let's grab this paper. This is 52 GSM Tomoe River paper, and we get to see that wonderful ink splattering. Just it almost goes all the way to yellow, but not quite. I looked back, but apparently it was right after I did the Sailor inks that I started doing these. Okay, and we have lots of seepage where it's on there real thick. All right, so let's look at our comparison panel. We've been looking at a lot of orange comparison panels, so hopefully I won't bore you with this, but let's see. I think I'll make a little bit of an adjustment here. Just a little bit. Yikes, okay. All right, hopefully you can read those bottom color names. That's my concern. Okay, in the center is our ink of the day, Jacques Orange, and it's in great company. We've got the ink that I think pretty much looks the most like it, the Sailor Apricot, even though even here I believe you can see that slightly more orange in this one, and a little more yellow going on in the apricot. So let's see, right next to it, got Caran d'Ache Electric Orange. That is an amazing ink. I wonder if I have enough of that left to review. I'll have to check and see. I can't get enough of orange these days, so. Okay, Montblanc Lucky Orange. That's one I've reviewed, and it's much more intense orange. You can see that there's nowhere near as much of the yellow looking in it. Diamine Pumpkin, which is the one I have just a little bit of a bottle left, a small bottle, and I've always liked that ink a lot. Tasha Dye Orange is another one it's more orange than it is yellow orange, kind of. And then we have one that's more yellow up here, J. Herbin Encre Classic Buttercup. Did I say orange? Anyway, more yellow. Gee, I don't know what I said. Robert Oster Fire on Fire. We just did that on day 30 of 30 Inks, 30 days. This ink was drier, the Robert Oster, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something to know, because if you're wanting to use it in a really fine nib or something, you might want to know that, and you might want to look toward, see, I'm writing mostly with broad and stub nibs, so that's going to work just fine for me. And here we have one on the panel that has a little more water resistance, Noodlers Summer Tanager. You can tell that didn't move around as much as some of these others. But I've got quite a few more, so just because some people may be familiar with certain ones of these. Here's Noodlers Habanero, a very, very warm, autumny kind of orange that, you know, it's different. It's got a little more water resistance, and it's just got that, it gets away from orange just enough, I think. So not to brown or anything, but just warms up. And okay, Noodlers Apache Sunset, which is much more yellow than our ink of the day. Okay, and then, well, Lamy Bronze, I can't help it. I got to compare it. Even though, to me, that's a very unique looking ink. And when I first saw it, I just didn't think it looked orange at all. But it is. It's just different. Here is a shimmer ink, Diamine Inferno Orange. Real pretty. I don't think I have enough of, I don't know how much I have of that left. I'll have to check, but that's a beautiful ink. But we're talking shimmer, we're talking more like a deeper orange there. And then, I'm not sure on these last two, but must have had a reason. Pure Pens, coming up in the Celtic set. Okay, that's a good reason. It is orange, but it leans toward brown almost. It's in that family. And then one more, many of us are familiar with Diamine Autumn Oak, which is much more brown. We aren't fully talking about orange anymore when you compare it to these, but I just think that there's value in that. All right, so now let's talk about what I thought about the ink. Can you tell I liked it? I definitely like it. Okay, so I said very nice ink, close to Sailor Apricot with less shading. Yeah, I stand by that, and excellent flow. And, you know, I add to that I do believe that it's just a little bit more orangey orange. So saturation probably is, in my mind, between 7 and 8. Nice and saturated. The flow was excellent. I give it an 8. The shading was lower than what I'd call like average or okay. It was a little lower than that, but it's there. It's very nice when it comes out. I didn't see bleeding or feathering, you know, other than when it wasn't in writing, it was in painted on or something. Dry time, I thought was pretty average. I gave it a 5. I didn't see sheen, halo, or shimmer. Let's see. Well, I mean, you know, you get some interesting stuff going on here, but that's not in the writing, so. Okay. Overall, I gave it a 7. I think, and then I wrote right under it, cost factor. Probably would have got a higher mark, but I just, oh dear, my poor pen allowance. But it's really nice. I really like it. Gosh, it'd be hard to choose between Sailor Apricot and this one, because I really like the shading the Sailor ink gave. Let's see. Just for grins, I mean, I don't remember what I said about that one. So let's go back. Okay. Oh, isn't that something? See, I think 10 minutes later we might rate things differently. Here it is. Cheerful color, nice shading ink. I gave it a terrible low mark on saturation. Okay, but very good on the flow. 8. Shading, 7. Shading, 4. Yeah, that's okay. I agree. I still stand by that. It was much more of a shader. Dry time, I said it was real slow. Oh, I'd have to look back on more than that. And I gave it a 5. Oh, I was brutal. That's terrible. Huh. Oh, that's interesting anyway. You know, still getting used to even thinking of that far advanced, so to speak, because I don't normally. So, let's see if we can do a little art with this one. Get that little Nick Stewart technique. Oh my gosh, I got stuff everywhere here. Okay. But the main thing is we need some water, and we need our big paintbrush, and our visual journal is prepared, ready to go. I've got a secondary ink. I'm going to try the gray ink that we did. I think we led with that one first, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so today's ink, buried paintbrush, 2 fountain pens, and a small partridge in a pear tree. Okay. Here we go. Now this will be interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. Okay. There we go. Our primary color of the day first. Ooh. Ooh. Well, isn't that interesting? I remember seeing yellow come out before of an ink. I'll have to look back on this a little bit. All right, before things get dried up, I'd really like to get a line put in. Oh, I don't think I did this very straight. Any part of it. That's pretty. It right away separates some orange, yellow comes out. Huh. Okay. There we go. How about getting a little bit of gray on there? We've already completed the review on this ink. Oh, wow. That's cool. Well, I don't guess I need to worry too much, but this one doesn't hold a lot of ink at once. Oh, I like that. That is cool. That kind of gives a lot of more vegetation or, you know, growth on the sidelines. Like a little hint of that. Oh, I like that a lot. I'm going to want that as up here too, I'm afraid. I don't have it in a pen right now. I don't think. No, I don't have it in a pen. Okay. Let's just go ahead and get some water down here. Whoop. Oh, I did it. I did it. It's nice. Oh. Oh, look at that. That is neat. Did you see that open right up? Like a little walkway or something. That's awesome. Huh. I couldn't have done that if I tried. It's just what happens as a little happy accident, I guess. It's funny that it's gray. It's looking a little bit either blue or purplish. Huh, neat. Okay, now we don't have a whole lot going on up here. Not sure how much of that I'm going to want in the sky. It's pretty though. Okay. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm going to get a couple little details on. Oh, I thought that was just going to be small. Surprise, surprise, right? Depends on how much water you saw over here. It barely did anything. Oh, it looks like a big trunk. That's not bad. All right, let's see. If I come in with the Lamy with the fine nib, what I can get. Just a little variation or something, a little bit more color. If you get there just in time, you can still have it blend in without, and then but it stays darker, but it really isn't any telling what's going to happen. I like that. That looks really neat. Almost looks like a reflection. I think we just about have it, except whatever that is just holding on there. Get a little detail in there, maybe. Maybe. Because I think that looked a little too orangish. Okay, you know what happens if we go too far, we just sort of ruin what there is. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the choice of the gray, and it's very unique looking. There we have it. That's how we came out today for the visual journal for the Nick Stewart technique. So let's talk about what's next. I have it buried here. Oh, apparently green is next in the rainbow color. So that will be this one here. This will be our next ink. Whoop, let me hold it up so you can see it. So those who love green, don't despair. This will be next. Vert Amazon. Wow, that's pretty. That is super pretty. So what did you think of today's ink? We've done a lot of orange. Hopefully it's not getting too repetitive. I'm not sick of it yet, but it is the month, it is October, so it's quite pretty, I think. And we're looking now at 3 that have been profiled, so if you're looking for them, they'll be on the orange playlist, as well as the other 2 will be on the 30 Inks 30 Days playlist. I'm trying to think, and I've done Tasha Dye Orange as well. That'll be on orange. And I believe I've done Montblanc Lucky Orange. I'll have to check on that. So, all right. I'd love to hear what you think of this one. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great inky day. Bye for now.